Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, January 8th, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you guys utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section, but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here at Weather Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below, letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and the latest GFS supercomputer models. We're looking at the latest Euro that came out today at 3:30 p.m. and we're going to be focusing our attention right here at the timestamp at the top, and we're going to be looking for all of this that we see on the key on the right. The reds, the oranges, the yellows, as well as the greens represents inches of rainfall, and we're going to be focusing our attention right here across Jamaica as we see what's in store for us in general. Alright, so let us see. So today it is Wednesday, January 8th, and we're starting right here at the correct spot. So 0Z on Thursday, January 9th is actually 7 p.m. on Wednesday. So it's a little past 7 p.m. now. So we can see what's happening now. But clearly, as we head into Thursday now, look at this. We can see some isobars pushing all the way. We see the line, the fashioned line around this ridge of high pressure across the central US. Definitely setting the stage for some more northeasterly flow across our neck of the woods. Either way, we see that Jamaica going to be getting in on some amount of isolated shore activity. We see some slight greens right here across the north coast according to the latest Euro. And as we head into Friday, we see that there is still some a little tiny bit of isolated shore activity still expected, but we're seeing more whites than anything else. Clearly, most of the moisture is across the waters to the south of Hispaniola, to the south of Jamaica, as well as across the southwestern Caribbean. We can also see a lot of moisture across the southern and northwestern Gulf right there. And, well, the southern Gulf states and the northwestern Gulf of Mexico right there. Heading into Saturday, definitely still showing little to no rainfall across the island. Heading into Sunday, some dots of showers in and around the island, especially up to the southwest of us. Heading into Monday, not much of anything across the island in terms of rainfall. We see more greens than anything else. And we see that Tuesday is showing something similar. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for 12Z on Wednesday, January 15th. So this is 7 a.m. And what do we see? We see some dots of greens across the northeast of Jamaica. We see some greens that represent rainfall across the Windward Islands, stretching across the southern Caribbean into the ABC Islands, all the way down into the southwestern Caribbean. And look at this, we see a line of showers right here, more than likely associated with a frontal system, stretching all the way from the northeastern portion of North Atlantic all the way down to the north of Jamaica, passing through eastern Cuba, across the Cayman Islands into the western Caribbean, across Belize and Honduras. Let us see if the latest GFS model is showing something similar. Alright, so we can see that as we head into Thursday, clearly we are seeing not much of anything across the island, very different from what the Euro was showing. Friday, we see definitely more whites than anything else. Most of the moisture stringing along from the Leeward Islands into the southwestern Caribbean. Heading into Sunday, we see some moisture to the north of Jamaica. We see some moisture to the southwest of Jamaica, into sections of Central America right there. Heading into Monday now, we see some moisture stretching from the eastern Caribbean across the southern Caribbean into the southwestern Caribbean right there. That's basically it. Don't see much activity across Jamaica. We're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is also valid for Wednesday, January 15. And do we notice any similarities? Do we notice any differences? Well, we don't see that line of showers associated with the frontal system that the Euro was showing on the GFS, what we do see is more of a northeasterly kind of flow of the moisture. I guess we could say that this line of shores across the eastern to the central western Caribbean could be classified as what we saw on the Euro, but we can also see that isobar flow of the winds more than likely around some kind of ridge of high pressure somewhere across the US. You can also see the bout of moisture across the western Gulf of Mexico, kind of similar to what was shown here on the Euro. Very interesting. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, in terms of the accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 7 days, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall expected from now up until Wednesday, January 15. And we know the most in the way of rainfall is represented by what we see here on the key on the right. We're talking about the reds into the burgundies, into the purples, into the pinks, into the peach colors. That represents anywhere from 1 all the way up to 8 inches of rainfall. And we can clearly see that over the next 7 days, the most in the way of rainfall, according to this latest GFS supercomputer model, should be across the waters of the Gulf of Mexico, across sections of Central America, including Belize, northern Guatemala, section of northern Honduras, eastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, western Venezuela, into the ABC Islands. You can also see some rainfall all the way down into the northeastern portion of South America, so maybe Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana getting on the mix, lifting up into portions of Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada. We can also see some moisture right here all the way up to Guadeloupe. We see some moisture in the greens, as well across the Leeward Islands, as well as Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Eastern Cuba, but not as robust as where we have all of these reds, especially across the waters of the central to the southwestern Caribbean. And if we take a look at the latest Euro model, we see something similar, that the most rainfall over the next 7 days especially should be plaguing Belize, Guatemala, southeastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama as well. So those areas might definitely pick up on some amount of isolated flash flooding in some spots. And if we take a closer look at Jamaica regarding the next 7 days and the total accumulated precipitation, excuse me, we can clearly see that the most in the way of rainfall should still be plaguing northern parishes. You see the blues that represents anywhere from 1 millimeter all the way up to 15 millimeters of rainfall, stretching all the way from Hanover into St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Clearly, you see that Portland is still going to be receiving the brunt of the rainfall over the next 7 days. The Euro model confirms that. Well, the GFS model confirms that. The Euro model showing even more. We see some greens in there that represents all the way up to 23 millimeters of rainfall. Very interesting. We'll see exactly what unfolds, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see the cold front that we mentioned in yesterday's video stretching all the way from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down into northern Hispaniola, where it has induced a trough right here to the north of Jamaica. It's right there to the north of us, but we know that right behind all of this is a lot of cooler than average temperatures. We'll see exactly what unfolds. We can also see some broken orange lines right here associated with another trough, and we know that we have a ridge of high pressure somewhere up here as usual that's responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main Devonshire region into the Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out all of these entities. First of all, the clouds associated with the cold front, reaching all the way down into a portion of Hispaniola, where it has induced the trough right here to the south of eastern Cuba. We can also see some low-level clouds passing from east to west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north, sending them that direction. Associated with some surface troughs, 'tis the season for such activity. We can still see some troughing taking place right here to the east of Nicaragua. Lots of moisture still down there, and you know the drill. We're gonna be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean today later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, January 8, 2025. It was stated that rain was in the forecast for parts of some northern parishes during Wednesday morning, also affecting sections of some eastern parishes during Wednesday afternoon. And when on northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. While eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. And what ended up happening? As early as 8:11 a.m., the visible satellite image was posted not only here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can clearly see that when we take a look at the visible satellite image of Jamaica at that time, we're getting in on some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers affecting sections of Hanover. We see the cloud cover there. We also see the cloud cover right there along the coast of St. James. We see the cloud cover across sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland for sure. And we know the drill. Some of these clouds might have entailed some amount of isolated shower activity. And then during the afternoon, we expected the cloud and the rainfall to be across eastern Jamaica. No, it wasn't. We saw most of the activity, the cloud cover and possible isolated shower activity across sections of St. Elizabeth, even sections of southern Manchester might have gotten in on some of that action. If not overcast skies, isolated showers for sure. And the infrared close-up satellite images confirm this. We can see the clouds dissipating as we speak. We don't see any high cold cloud tops at all. No cumulonimbus clouds as we speak across the island. And if we take a look at the halfway tree cam from See Jamaica's YouTube channel at around 2:10 p.m., we can see that Jamaica was definitely not getting in on much in the way of bad weather at all at that time. Clearly, we can see people walking about, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business. 2:10 p.m. was showing that we're receiving some sunny conditions across the island, across halfway tree today. And if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just subscribe to See Jamaica on YouTube. They have this live stream for your viewing pleasure. Not only of Halfway Tree, but even Crossroads, the Kingston Harbour, the Panoramic City View, and even the Flat Bridge in St. Catherine. So subscribe today that you don't miss out, just in case they install a camera near you. And if we take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this map does indeed paint a picture of where we got the isolated shower activity today across northern Jamaica, especially during the morning, and then across the southwest during the afternoon. So sections of St. Elizabeth, southern Manchester, just like what we saw on the visible satellite imagery just now. If you take a look at the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website, let's see what's happening right now. We can see that the latest imagery is as of 0015 UTC. That's about 7:15 p.m. So that just came out, 13 minutes ago, considering that it's 7:28 p.m. right now. And we can see that there's not much of anything across Jamaica as we speak. And the Cuban Doppler radar images confirm this. You know, the Cuban Doppler radar show the actual rainfall across the island as represented by these colors that we see on the key on the right. The greens represent moderado, that's moderate rainfall. The yellows represent fuerte, that's strong or heavy rainfall. And we don't see much of anything across the island. Don't you think that the greens, the yellows, oranges, and reds here represent rainfall? It's not rainfall at all. As stated before, that's ground clutter. That's just a glitch in the Doppler radar. This is why we want the Jamaican Doppler radar, that we don't have to be depending on the Cuban radar that's in Spanish and sometimes very glitchy. But we're indeed grateful that this Cuban Doppler radar is showing Jamaica as we speak. If we take a look at the Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar imagery, we can see that there's not much activity in terms of rainfall affecting eastern Cuba, western Haiti, or northeastern Jamaica. And if we also take a look at the Cayman radar, we don't see much activity across the Cayman Islands, western Jamaica, or southern Cuba as we speak. If we take a look at the very latest from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, showing the flat bridge, you can see the flat bridge is definitely chilling. People in their vehicles going about their business on this very historical bridge. Definitely dry conditions tonight for sure. Not much in the way of rainfall at all. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 24 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Thursday, temperature should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 21 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And if we take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18 on Thursday when calculated. That's about 1 p.m. on Thursday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some yellows and some slight oranges that represent all the way up to maybe 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperature. So yes, we spoke about the cold front, but it's definitely somewhere in here and it's stationary. And we can see the cooler than average temperatures associated with it. To the north, we see the blues, we see the greens, we see the purples. That represents what we see on the key on the right. 1 degree Celsius below average, all the way down to maybe 10 plus, especially right here off the east coast of the United States. Crazy in the purple. But Jamaica won't be getting on any of the below average temperatures tomorrow as of yet. We'll see what happens on Friday. What we're seeing is up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures for Thursday. And we know the normal temperatures across Jamaica for the month of January is around 86.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's calculated to degrees Celsius that we use over here, that's about 30.2 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30 to 32 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Thursday. And if you're going to be receiving cooler than average temperatures, more than likely it's going to be during the late night into early morning hours. And we're indeed grateful that my GPS Online still hasn't shown much of anything in terms of any maintenance outages that are going to be in store for us. The last one was posted on January 5, and it was for St. Mary that was going to be receiving an emergency outage for January 7, and that's basically it. We don't have any power outages forecasted or predicted to happen, and we're grateful for that, because you know that when we have power outages, the heat can definitely be even worse because we don't have our AC or our fan to cool us down when we have power outages. And if we take a look at some tips right here to beat the heat if tomorrow is going to be a bit too hot for you, you know the drill. It states here: wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen, so dress down. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors, and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine, as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated. Drink lots of water throughout the day. Even if you're not thirsty, put away those sugar drinks. Drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And clearly we can see the entire Atlantic is dominated by dry air, stretching all the way from Africa across the Caribbean. Lots and lots of dry air, definitely limiting the amount of rainfall across the basin in general. Not moist at all these days. And we're indeed grateful that the Saharan dust map is back. Excuse me. We can see the forecast here for 2 p.m. on Thursday, January 9. And we're grateful that North America, South America, into the Caribbean, all of these areas are in the clear, as you can see here, because all of the burnt that represent the Saharan dust should be across sections of the main development region. Excuse me. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can clearly see that the highest waves should be across right here to the north of the Bahamas, but unlikely that's where all of these strong winds are going to be kicking up the waters associated with the backside of that cold front. You can also see the light shades of blues into dark shades of blues right here, stretching from Cuba all the way down into portion of the southern and eastern Caribbean. They're represented from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height. And if we look across the waters to the north of Jamaica, up to 0.7 meter wave heights right there. South coast 0.9 of a meter wave heights right there. And that's because of the winds that are expected. Look at this. We see more of a northerly flow across Florida into Cuba, curving more westward. So more of a northeasterly flow across Jamaica right here. More of an northeasterly flow to the south of Hispaniola, all the way down into the southwestern Caribbean. More of a northeasterly flow for sure. We see that flow, and we also see it curving right here into portion of the Gulf of Mexico. And we see the colors represent what? Green into the dull greens, the yellows right here into the burgundies. So we're talking about across the Caribbean, so anywhere from what, 5 to 10 to 20 knots, gusting up to 25, all the way to maybe 40 plus knots across the waters to the north of the Bahamas, as well as sections of the Gulf of Mexico right there. And if we take a closer look at Jamaica regarding the wind forecast, we can see more of a northeasterly flow being predicted across the island, kind of more northeasterly on the western side of the island. And we see it averaging what, let's see, about 6 knots right here to the north. Definitely going to be stronger to the east of St. Thomas, 13 knots. We have those brighter greens, 13 knots as well on the western side. And look at the south coast. Not much of any winds at all, up to 1 knot. And this is what we're talking about. Even in yesterday's video, I highlighted it. Stating that wherever we have the least amount of winds, that's where we're going to be having the heat. And when we have the heat, we have more diurnal convection. Just like what we had today across St. Elizabeth. Not really strong diurnal convection, but at least we had some clouds building up. Maybe I brought some drizzle or some dew rain to the area across St. Elizabeth, but that's basically it. We'll see exactly what occurs tomorrow. Either way, we know that northerly or northeasterly flow could definitely bring some isolated showers to northern Jamaica, and we know that usually happens during the night or the early morning hours. We'll see exactly what unfolds, and we also see that the upper level wind shear is still coming in from the southwest right there. We'll see exactly what happens regarding that, if we'll get any thunderstorms with their cloud tops being streaked off towards the northeast. Either way, at about 9 a.m. on Thursday, both the Euro and the GFS mouth are showing some dots of blues that represent rainfall across the northern side of the island. We see it right here on the GFS, definitely affecting Portland. We see most of it out to sea to the north of St. Mary and St. Anne. The Euro has the rainfall as represented by the blues across not only St. James but Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, and even Portland. Very interesting for 9 a.m. But skipping ahead to about 3 p.m. now, we have some contrast. So we just saw some similarities on the morning time frame. The afternoon shows that the Euro is still adamant that northern Jamaica is going to be getting on the blues that represent rainfall for 3 p.m. The GFS, not much of anything. We see not showing much of anything. Whites represent sunshine. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what unfolds. And I'll definitely be here to keep you posted tomorrow afternoon with what actually happens. Either way, both accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus that the most in way of rainfall should be plaguing northern Jamaica for sure. We see the greens on the Euro especially. That represents what? Anywhere from 0.1 of an inch all the way up to 0.25 of an inch of rainfall, especially across Portland and St. Mary. GFS a bit more reserved, showing all the way up to the 0.08 of an inch of rainfall on the slight greens. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, it's expected. We're in our dry season. We're in the month of January. And in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive up to at least 20 millimeters of rainfall. That's close to an inch of rainfall. In Montego Bay, we usually receive up to 3 inches of rainfall. That's about 75 millimeters of rainfall. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives for the month of January or for the entire year, you can visit this website. That's www.weather-and-climate.com, and that website will show you that information. And you can use this nice little graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters that we receive on the rain gauge, because you know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have a trough right here to the south of Puerto Rico pushing from east-west. We can see the clouds associated with that frontal system reaching all the way from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down into portion of eastern Cuba, the southern Bahamas. We see some moisture across the eastern Caribbean. We also see some moisture right here into eastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, section of Honduras, Guatemala, Belize getting on some of the action. We see some clouds into portion of western Cuba. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, maybe we can see some of the showers passing to the south of Puerto Rico. Let's see. As a matter of fact, it's affecting Puerto Rico. So we can see some showers, yes, to the south of Puerto Rico, but look at this. We see some greens into the yellows that represent some moderate to heavy rainfall, especially lashing southern Puerto Rico as we speak. Maybe even some isolated flash flooding taking place at this time. We can also see some isolated showers to the west and the east of Martinique. But if we load these images from earlier today, we can see that we didn't have much in the way of anything across Puerto Rico today at all. Taking a look at the Barbados radar, don't see much of anything across Barbados right now. But if we zoom out a bit, let's see, we can see some rainfall. That rainfall that we saw to the east and west of Martinique. Scrolling down, we can see some rainfall passing through the southern Grenadine Islands. We can also see some rainfall pushing from east-west into portions of Grenada tonight for sure, especially northeastern Grenada. Not seeing much of anything across Trinidad and Tobago right now. But if we take a look at the weather VF Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall right here across the waters to the east of Belize, across Belize, as well as to the northwest of Honduras, to the east of Nicaragua. Look at these yellows into the rays that represent a moderate to heavy rainfall pushing from east, northeast to west, southwest, or from northeast to southwest. Definitely to affect sections of southeastern Nicaragua as well as sections of Costa Rica. We can also see some rainfall across sections of Colombia right there. And if you take a look at where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now. Hold on, let me see. I think this is showing the wrong imagery. This is showing all the way up to January 15. Let's see if I can get the right one, because that is showing a bit too much rainfall. Alright, so here we have it, the real imagery over the next 24 hours. And this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are showing all the rainfall expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Thursday. And we can clearly see that the most rainfall over the next 24 hours should be plaguing section of Belize. It's already happening right now. Section of Guatemala, northern Honduras, southeastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, section of Colombia. Not seeing much of anything across Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, or French Guyana. Well, section of French Guyana is actually getting on some of the action. I think the weather nerds thing right there is blocking it. Not seeing much of that on the GFS though. Interesting. You can also see some greens that represent rainfall across the waters to the east of Trinidad and Tobago on the GFS. Not so much on the Euro. Euro showing more isolated shores near Barbados, sections of St. Lucia and Martinique. GFS not so much. Maybe Barbados, St. Vincent and St. Lucia, not so much Martinique. You can also see the rainfall associated with the trough across Puerto Rico, as well as the waters to the south of Puerto Rico, as well as some isolated shores across sections of the Dominican Republic. And that's basically it. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I wonder that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.